Have you ever started your morning feeling fine, only to feel unsteady or off balance minutes later? If you're over 60, those moments matter more than you think. They can be quiet signs that something deeper is happening inside your body, specifically in your brain. Many strokes don't begin with drama. They begin with silence. A flicker of confusion, a stumble, a word that won't come. I'm not here to alarm you, but to help you see what may be happening before it's too late. Because the truth is, stroke risk often builds over time through small, daily habits, especially the ones we do each morning. Habits that seem harmless, even healthy, but may be placing quiet stress on your brain's delicate vessels. The good news is, small changes can make a real difference. In this video, we'll explore 7 common morning routines that may be working against you and what to do instead to protect your brain and your independence for years to come. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Waking up and jumping out off the bed too fast. When you open your eyes in the morning, it might feel natural to throw back the covers and rise quickly, eager to begin the day. But for older adults, that sudden motion going from lying flat to standing upright in seconds can quietly put your brain at risk. It's not just a harmless habit. It's something that, over time, can trigger dangerous drops in blood pressure that affect your balance, your clarity, and even your long-term brain health. Here's what most people don't realize. After hours of sleep, your body is in a state of rest. Your heart rate is slower. Your blood pressure is lower. And your blood circulation is more relaxed, especially to the brain. When you stand up abruptly, your blood vessels don't always adjust fast enough. The result is something called orthostatic hypotension. It's a sudden, sharp drop in blood pressure that can leave you feeling lightheaded, off balance, or in some cases, on the verge of fainting. For someone in their 62nd or beyond, this isn't just a passing feeling, it's a red flag. Because with age, our blood vessels become less flexible and the systems that regulate blood flow take a little longer to respond. That moment of dizziness, however brief, is your brain's way of telling you it isn't getting enough oxygen. And if that becomes a pattern, the risk of a mini stroke or even a full stroke begins to rise without warning. But here's the encouraging part. You can prevent this with one simple shift in your morning routine. The moment you wake up, resist the urge to rush. Instead, take a few slow, steady breaths. Move your hands and feet. Roll your ankles. Wiggle your fingers. Give your body a chance to awaken gradually. After about a minute, slowly sit up in bed. Let your legs dangle. Place your feet on the floor. Then pause it again. Let your circulation adjust. Let your brain catch up. Only then, rise gently to your feet. This isn't about being fragile. It's about being wise. That 1 or 2 minutes of gentle transition can help stabilize your blood pressure, improve circulation to your brain, and reduce your risk of early morning accidents, falls, or worse. If you've ever stood up and felt a wave of dizziness or heaviness, that wasn't just aging, it was your body sending a message. And now that you know, you can answer it with care. As we move forward, I want to share another morning habit that's often overlooked but just as vital. It's something small, something we often forget, yet it plays a critical role in keeping your brain clear, focused, and energized for the day ahead. Let's explore that next. 2. Drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. It might seem almost too easy to matter, but starting your day with a simple glass of water is one of the most powerful things you can do for your brain and your body. Think about it. You've gone 7 or 8 hours without a single sip. All night long, your body has been steadily losing fluids through your breath, through gentle perspiration, even through the natural process of keeping your heart and organs functioning while you rest. And by the time your eyes open in the morning, you're already mildly dehydrated. Whether you feel it or not, your brain, made up of nearly 75% water, is one of the first parts of the body to notice this drop. Dehydration doesn't always scream for attention. Sometimes it whispers through foggy thinking, slower reaction time, or a dull pressure behind the eyes. Sometimes it shows up in more dangerous ways: higher blood pressure, thicker blood, and slower circulation, all of which quietly increase your risk for stroke, especially if you're over 60. Now consider this: if you're taking medications like diuretics for blood pressure or heart health, a common prescription for older adults, your body is already losing more water than usual through increased urination. That means by the time you're ready for breakfast, your fluid levels may be far below where they need to be to support brain function, digestion, and circulation, and yet many people reach straight for coffee, tea, or their morning pills without ever thinking to hydrate first. But here's what happens when you make hydration your first act of the day. That single glass of room temperature water helps your blood flow more freely. It delivers oxygen to your brain more efficiently. It gently nudges your digestive system to wake up. It clears out the internal cobwebs and tells your nervous system that the day can begin. It's like pulling back the curtains and letting morning light pour in, not just into your room, but into every corner of your body. The beauty is in its simplicity. You don't need anything fancy. No powders. No infusions. No lemon slices unless you enjoy them. Just one full glass of plain water before anything else. Sip it slowly, let it settle, and feel how different your body responds afterward. You don't need to overhaul your entire morning. Just this one small ritual can begin to shift everything. And as we continue, we'll explore the next hidden habit, something millions of people do first thing in the morning without ever realizing how it impacts blood flow, inflammation, and brain clarity. Let's talk about that next. 3. High sodium breakfast choices. And since we're already talking about mornings, there's another daily habit that deserves a closer look. Many people begin the day thinking they're making smart, healthy choices. A quick bowl of cereal, a slice of toast, maybe a scrambled egg with some cheese on top. It all seems harmless, maybe even nourishing. But there's a hidden element in many breakfast routines that quietly put stress on the aging brain: excess sodium. It's easy to assume that salt only comes from the shaker, but the truth is, it's hiding in far more places than you'd expect. Packaged cereals, flavored instant oatmeal, frozen waffles, breakfast bars, processed breads, and even low-fat cheeses can all contain surprising amounts of sodium. And the concern isn't just about the salt itself. It's about timing When we wake up in the morning, our blood pressure naturally rises as part of the body's built-in rhythm. It's how we shift from rest to alertness. But when you layer in a salty meal on top of that natural rise, especially for seniors with sensitive blood vessels, the outcome can be harmful. Too much sodium stiffens arteries, tightens circulation, and puts pressure on the tiny, fragile blood vessels that feed your brain. Over time, this can increase the risk of stroke, brain fog, memory lapses, and sudden bouts of dizziness or imbalance. This doesn't mean you need to give up the joy of breakfast. It just means rethinking the ingredients you choose. For example, instead of reaching for flavored instant oats, try making plain rolled oats and topping them with sliced banana, fresh berries, or a sprinkle of cinnamon. If you enjoy eggs in the morning, keep the cheese to a minimum and try pairing them with avocado or a slice of no-salt added whole grain toast. Small swaps like these can significantly reduce your sodium intake without sacrificing flavor or satisfaction. In fact, experts suggest keeping breakfast sodium levels below 300 to 400 milligrams. That's a reasonable target, but many breakfast items exceed it in just one serving. Often without tasting particularly salty. That's what makes it so easy to overlook. Reading nutrition labels, using fresh ingredients, and avoiding prepackaged breakfast options when possible can go a long way toward protecting your brain each morning. Think of it not as a restriction, but as an act of care. Your morning routine sets the tone for your entire day. And when you start with foods that support circulation, balance, and clear thinking, your brain responds with clarity, stability, and calm. As we continue, we'll explore another surprising part of the morning that most people skip, something that could either protect or pressure your brain depending on how you approach it. Let's take a look at that next. 4. Drinking too much coffee on an empty stomach. Now that we're reflecting on morning routines, let's look at one daily habit that feels comforting but may carry hidden risks when done without care. It's the morning cup of coffee, that familiar ritual many people rely on to jumpstart the day. The warmth, the aroma, and the routine, it can feel like a lifeline. But for those of us over 60, it's worth understanding how timing and context can quietly turn this beloved drink into something that puts extra stress on the brain and heart. Drinking coffee first thing in the morning, especially before eating anything, sends a powerful jolt through the body. Caffeine triggers the release of adrenaline, speeds up the heart rate, and narrows the blood vessels. That combination can lead to a sharp rise in blood pressure, especially when your body hasn't had the chance to properly hydrate or stabilize after sleep. And for older adults whose arteries may already be less elastic, this sudden spike can quietly strain the fragile vessels in the brain, raising the risk of mini strokes, irregular heart rhythms, and cognitive decline over time. This doesn't mean coffee has to be given up entirely. It simply means we need to work with our bodies, not against them. A small adjustment can make a big difference. Try starting your day with a full glass of room temperature water to gently rehydrate after a night of rest. Follow that with a light breakfast, perhaps a boiled egg, a few slices of fruit, or a piece of whole grain toast. Give your body a moment to settle. Then enjoy a single moderate cup of coffee. One is often enough to enjoy the ritual and alertness without overstimulating your system. Also, be mindful of what goes into your cup. Sugary creamers or flavored syrups can add inflammatory compounds that may interfere with circulation and brain clarity. A simpler cup is often the better choice. Over time, this gentler rhythm can help you avoid that crash and crave cycle, where you reach for a second or third cup out of exhaustion, not enjoyment. Our habits need to evolve with us. What once felt harmless in our 42nd can carry greater consequences as we age. Listening to your body, honoring your limits, and making small, thoughtful changes is a form of self-respect and a quiet act of prevention. In the next segment, we'll explore another surprising morning habit, something many people skip that's actually vital for stabilizing energy and brain function throughout the day. Let's continue this journey together. 5. Ignoring morning dizziness or weakness. And while we're on the subject of subtle signs, there's one quiet morning signal that deserves far more attention than it gets. Many older adults wake up occasionally feeling a bit off, perhaps a wave of lightheadedness, an unexpected sense of imbalance, or a temporary weakness in the arm or leg. Sometimes the words don't come out as smoothly as they should, or the body feels just a little slower than usual. It's tempting to brush it off as poor sleep or a bad pillow, something harmless that will pass by mid-morning. But those early moments, those brief flickers of confusion, dizziness, or muscle weakness may be your brain trying to alert you that something deeper is going on. These aren't just quirks of aging. For many people, overstimulation, they're signs of restricted blood flow to the brain. A sudden blood pressure drop, or worse, a warning that a mini-stroke, what doctors call a TIA, or transient ischemic attack has occurred. TIAs often come and go within minutes. No pain, no drama, but they're not harmless. These episodes are your brain's way of saying something isn't right. They often happen in the early morning hours when the body is transitioning from the slower rhythms of sleep to the demands of the waking day. Blood pressure shifts, vessels respond slower, and in those vulnerable moments, circulation to the brain can be disrupted just long enough to leave a mark. The real danger lies in ignoring these signs. TIAs are one of the most reliable indicators that a larger stroke may be on the horizon. That's why it's so important to stay aware. If you've ever had a strange episode, even one that passed quickly, make a note of it. Write down what you felt and how long it lasted. If it happens again, tell your doctor. Don't assume it's nothing. Today, there are apps and simple tracking tools made specifically for seniors to help monitor patterns, document changes, and get the support you need before things escalate. Our bodies have a quiet intelligence. When something feels off, that message matters. It's not about panicking. It's about paying attention. That moment of hesitation when you stand, the extra second it takes to steady your balance, it could be more than just a fluke. Coming up next, we'll look at how one specific activity many people do right after waking up might be putting even more pressure on your brain, and how just one adjustment to your morning rhythm could make a lasting difference. Let's keep going. 6. Skipping medications or taking them incorrectly. Now let's turn our attention to something that happens in nearly every senior household, but often goes unnoticed. The simple act of taking morning medications. It might seem like a routine, even automatic part of the day. But the truth is, how and when you take your medications can have just as much impact as the medications themselves. Many older adults live with complex prescriptions, blood pressure pills, cholesterol reducers, blood thinners, and more. These aren't just for comfort, they're essential tools protecting the brain, especially from stroke. But the effectiveness of these pills doesn't just depend on the ingredients. It depends on consistency, timing, and the small choices surrounding them. If you miss a dose, even once, it can quietly elevate your risk. A skipped blood pressure pill may lead to silent pressure spikes that strain the brain's delicate vessels. On the flip side, taking a double dose by accident because you weren't sure if you took it already can cause blood pressure to drop too low, increasing the risk of fainting or even a brain bleed. These situations don't always look like emergencies at first, but they can have long-term consequences. Even the way pills are taken makes a difference. Swallowing them with coffee instead of water, or on an empty stomach when food is needed, can interfere with how your body absorbs them, and sometimes those small errors lead to side effects that aren't connected in our minds. Nausea, headaches, dizziness. But in reality, the root may be in the timing and method of your routine. Thankfully, this is one of the easiest areas to improve. A pill organizer divided by morning, noon, and evening can take the guesswork out of the equation. Setting a gentle reminder on your phone or placing your medication next to a daily ritual, like brushing your teeth or pouring a cup of tea, can help make the habit stick. And no matter how good you feel, never adjust your dose without speaking to your doctor first. These medications work silently to protect you. The fewer surprises, the better they do their job. Over the years, I've seen patients regain control over their health simply by improving this one part of their day. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware, intentional, and gentle with yourself. Coming up next, we'll explore a common morning beverage that many people think is brain healthy. But when consumed the wrong way, it might be quietly raising your risk of stroke. Let's keep going. 7. Holding in urine after walking. Now let's finish with one final morning habit that nearly everyone does without thinking, but that the aging body notices more than we realize. It's something small, something routine, and yet it sends a powerful signal to your heart and brain the moment you ignore it. I'm talking about delaying your first bathroom visit of the day. Many of us wake up, stretch a bit, maybe scroll through the news or start sipping our coffee, thinking we'll use the restroom after we're more awake. But for older adults, holding in urine first thing in the morning can create real strain on the body, starting with your blood pressure during the night. Your bladder continues to fill. When it becomes overly full and you hold it in, the body responds as if it's under pressure. It releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones tighten your blood vessels and raise your blood pressure right at the time of day when the risk for stroke is already highest. If you already live with hypertension or heart disease, this combination becomes even more dangerous. The bladder presses on nearby organs, including the heart, and in some cases, that added tension can lead to irregular heart rhythms, especially if you've experienced arrhythmia before. That mix of increased pressure and abnormal rhythms is exactly what puts older adults at risk for clots, and those clots can move quickly toward the brain, triggering a stroke without any warning. But there's good news. This is one of the simplest habits to change. All it takes is listening to your body. That quiet signal you feel upon waking isn't something to push aside. It's your system gently asking for release and balance. Getting up and going to the bathroom within the first few minutes of waking isn't just about comfort. It's about protecting your circulation, reducing unnecessary pressure, and beginning your day with an act of respect toward your own health. Think of it as your very first health choice of the day. No medication, no equipment, no schedule, just honoring a basic need that, over time, may help reduce your risk of heart strain and brain fog. Coming up next, we'll take everything we've discussed: hydration, blood pressure, medications, and small morning rituals, and show you how to build a protective daily routine from the moment you wake up. You'll see how just a few quiet decisions can keep your brain sharper and your body stronger for years to come. Let's continue. Sometimes the smallest changes make the biggest difference. Many older adults don't think twice about putting off that first trip to the bathroom. But over time, your body lets you know. It matters. If you've ever adjusted that habit, maybe after a dizzy spell or just a feeling that something wasn't quite right, your experience could be the encouragement someone else needs. Feel free to share it in the comments. These stories often speak louder than any medical chart ever could. Now that we've walked through all 7 morning habits, it's worth taking a step back. What ties them all together isn't fear, it's awareness. A stroke doesn't usually strike out of nowhere. More often than not, it builds silently from patterns we barely notice. Things like skipping water, standing up too fast, drinking coffee before breakfast, eating salty foods, or holding in urine don't seem like much in isolation. But for a body over 60, those habits place slow and steady pressure on the brain, the heart, and the nervous system. That doesn't mean you need to change everything overnight. In fact, the best progress often comes from small, thoughtful steps. Maybe this week it's choosing to stretch before getting out of bed. Maybe next week it's starting your day with a glass of water. Over time, these shifts add up, supporting your circulation, your memory, your balance, and most importantly, your confidence in your own body. You don't need to chase perfection. You just need to stay aware. Pay attention to how your body feels in the morning. Respect those quiet signals. Trust that every small adjustment is a form of care, a way to say, my health matters, and I'm worth the effort. If this video gave you even one helpful idea, consider giving it a like and sharing it with someone you care about. It might spark a conversation that helps protect someone else's health. And if you're planning to work on one of these habits this week, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear what stood out to you and what you plan to change first. And if you're not already subscribed to Health 365, now's a good time to join. This channel is here to offer simple, honest, and empowering tips to help you stay strong, steady, and independent one day at a time. Your mornings matter, and so does your well-being. Let's keep moving forward. Together,